I'm the Alchemist Astrologer, and this is your 2020 overview for Virgo Sun, Virgo Rising, and Virgo Moon. So Virgo, what is it that you need to leave in the past? This would be an attitude or a situation that it's now time to let go of. So you have the Wheel of Fortune, Empress, and Illuminate. So there's been a change of fortune that may have come about through some kind of illuminating circumstance. Something has come to light and it's changed your destiny or your course of living in some way. Maybe you're giving advice, maybe you've received something. There could have been a change of fortune related to your connection to your mother or your role as a mother. It could be a change of fortune related to an important woman in your life or some kind of creative project. But something you recently said or did in the past has taken you down a new path. And it feels fated, although you did have a hand in it. Now, perhaps there was some luck running through a situation and you didn't recognize it, or you didn't give credence to that luck. It seemed insignificant. But something has taken your life in a new direction, and probably very quickly. And it may have bearing on your future, your fortune, traveling. And in some cases, maybe, you're leaving something tangible like a car. Maybe this is a luxury vehicle. You've gained some illuminating insights about values somehow. For some of you, this may be a change that affects your health, your happiness, your feeling of attractiveness, perhaps your sensual instincts. Maybe you're making changes to the way you eat or what you consider to be attractive in yourself or other people. It may be changes in the way you express yourself, the way you speak, the way you communicate. So you're looking at something and your expectation levels are involved. You need to leave in the past where perhaps you've gotten it wrong in the extreme. For example, with this Empress card here, you may be prone to some kind of overindulgence, extravagance, excess in some way. Maybe you spend too much money. Maybe you gamble. Maybe you eat too much. Maybe you drink too much. Maybe you're too sexual. So you're having to look at that. Or the other extreme, maybe you're apathetic. You don't put in enough practical effort to get results. And so you feel dissatisfied. There's a sense perhaps of entitlement, or maybe being lazy, feeling that it's just going to come to you without working. So there's some kind of change, again, that ties to your expectation levels, whether you're expecting too much of yourself, of a situation, of other people, or you have very little hope or expectation. And, you've divested in life or others or a situation. So you need to leave that in the past. Some kind of change that seems like fate, although you had a hand in it, that's changing your sense of happiness, your well-being, and your value system. Your willingness to help other people could be at stake here. So what is it that you should let go of in the future? You have the Nine of Cups and the King of Swords in shadow. So again, we come back to this issue of excess, because the Nine of Cups is a card also of extremes, going too far. So there could be issues of selfishness, hedonism, drinking too much, again, being too sexual, player instincts. And the King of Swords is saying, there's very little emotion in it. Maybe you've cut yourself off from feeling emotions. There's some fear about feeling or intimacy or sharing your innermost. So for some of you, what you need to let go of is this detachment, closing off emotionally to others because of fear, or you're making these callous decisions to do things driven by baser instincts. So for some of you, you may have some issues. There may have been some changes in your relationship with your mother or an important woman in your life, a girlfriend, or maybe a project, something creative. What you need to leave in the past is something that set your life in another direction with regard to your creativity, your fertility, your productivity, and the feminine principle. And for some of you, maybe there are some father issues, authority issues. Maybe you were cut off or you're cutting others off. This is about handling things more effectively, coming up with solutions, and perhaps dealing with the shadow side of self. This is about being careful of what you wish for, because you very well may get it. And it could be the wrong thing that takes you down the wrong road. It could be that you make decisions, and then once you get what you want, you realize that it's not all that it was cracked up to be. Or you give value to things that perhaps you shouldn't. So again, this is about getting in touch with your emotions when necessary, not closing off, and understanding when you're going too far, what your fears are, and again, when there's some shadow behavior. What do you need to take from the past? This would be a past mindset or quality that is working for you and that you should continue to leverage in the future. So you need to take action, perhaps to release some chronic negative behaviors. These could be obsessions, compulsions. So you have a lot of cards already that connect to excess or extravagance or sensuality or the baser self. So for some of you, you are dealing with your fears, your pessimism, your cynicism with regard to life, your expectation level. What do you expect of yourself, of others? Is it too much? Is it too little? There's a need to take the initiative, to take some action. Now, for some of you, this may have to do with large sums of money, perhaps shared assets. It may have to do with situations that bring you to the brink of crisis continuously. Or perhaps it's time for you to get some kind of psychological breakthrough with regard to a situation, and you need to take some action. It could mean greater responsibility. There's a need to survive right now, and your survival instincts are kicking in and taking you down a path for better or for worse. Now, this says what to take from the past. So this is your will to win, to survive, and to thrive. And so for some of you, you have a lot of influence right now, and it's possible for you to sway a situation toward your favor. It's like you have a silver tongue because you have some kind of added edge, some kind of psychological scope that allows you to understand the motivation and the inclinations of others. So you can weed people out according to their motives. And you can clearly see perhaps what's working for you and what's working against you. So this is a time where you're going to be reinventing who you are. Perhaps, you have some unfinished business that you need to settle, or you're making some transformation in your thinking, your outlook, your lifestyle. You're taking some action to deal with some chronic negative behaviors that have kept you bound, and largely because of some self-imposed thinking. You have been restrictive in limiting yourself. Now, some of you may be letting go of some heavy burdens and responsibilities. You may be taking some type of action. Again, it may tie to your parents. Maybe you're working on something that has to do with investments. Could be wills, inheritance, debt, taxes. You're taking some kind of responsible action to improve your circumstances. And so the sooner you're able to get in gear and reinvent yourself, reorganize, move in a better direction, the quicker things will fall into place for you. Now, what is it that you need to use in the future? This would be a past or current gift or mindset to play up in the future to help you achieve your desired goal. You have the Hanged Man and the Knight of Cups. And also secrets. So for some of you, maybe you should be waiting. Maybe you should discern what's important. Maybe something is offered to you and you're waiting because maybe everything is not revealed. So this could be a year where it's important to know, when to close off and when to offer something. There's a need to change your perspective, to take a fresh approach. Now, for some of you, maybe you're offering some compassion. Maybe you're offering something that is of healing to other people. Maybe you're offering some insights, but there's some secretive element to that is working for you. In fact, the Knight of Cups says that once again, you have this psychological insight that allows you to get what you want. So if that's the case, you have some incredible power at your disposal. You should know what it is that you want to manifest because it's going to easily come to you. So it may be important this year for you to wait, for you to gain some enlightenment, for you to take time to look at something deliberately and go at it from a fresh angle. Take a fresh perspective. Maybe turn something on its head to see it differently. Waiting may work to your advantage right now, or not revealing everything until you decide, what you're dealing with may be better. Now, for some of you, perhaps, again, this gets back to some form of addiction or obsession. And so you're taking some action, perhaps. And you may be recuperating. You may be in a hospital, a treatment center. You may be dealing with people who need help. So you're dealing with things that may have some kind of uncertainty to them, and you're having to rely on your faith. It could be spiritual faith. Again, this is about looking at where you need to sacrifice or where you're making needless sacrifice. There could have been issues in the past where there was some kind of deception, and you're having to look clearly at perhaps how you've been deceiving others, how they have been deceiving you, where you've allowed yourself to participate in something that is self-defeating. So this is a year, it's important that you have compassion and that you're aware of perhaps when to move forward on something, when to hold back. Now, what is the big lesson for you in 2020? This is what your situations, your relationships will be centered on. You have the Sun card, so that's an excellent card. So this is a year where you're focused on your future, your destiny, your calling, your health, your vitality, your happiness. And so you may be dealing with authority figures, people who have influence, people who can open doorways for you. You're making some important life decisions. And you're going to have to think about the challenges that may come with these opportunities. There's something bright for you to look forward to. But you're also going to have to be aware of, changes in the way you communicate, closing off, cutting off other people because you feel frustrated or angry. Because then the sun is not a healing warmth, it's a destructive force that has the capacity to burn you. You may get burned by your behavior, especially if you're arrogant or pompous or, rude, or you feel entitled, thinking that everything revolves around you. For some of you, these lessons are going to tie, again, to your future. Could be your profession. It may be a father figure, your role as father, your connections to children, your creativity, or something romantic. Now, what is the question that you should be asking yourself all throughout the year that relates to this lesson? Am I in my head or in my heart? Now that's interesting because, again, you have this King of Swords who is very solution-oriented, but he's very also detached, very aloof, can be very cold, manipulative, and calculating. So, it's great to think, but you also need to determine which side of the line you're on. Are you using your head or you're in your heart? What is the quality of your self-talk? Our brain is like a muscle. If we condition it daily, the fears and limitations will take over. Mastering our thoughts is about being the creator of our own life. Where your head meets your heart is where miracles happen. So this is going to be a year for your soul action to master your mind. Whatever that supports, that positivity, that positive thinking, self-help books, empowering videos, writing out the reasons why you believe in yourself and your dreams, anything that's empowering, that keeps you in that place where, again, both your head and your heart find that middle path. And you also have trust yourself. So it's interesting. The sun is your very self. This is your life. That's what it represents in astrology. So this is you. This is, again, your health, physically, emotionally, mentally. So you need to trust yourself. And the way to do that is to strike a balance. Not going to extremes, not indulging yourself, handling things more effectively, coming up with good solutions, and that willingness to help, perhaps taking in advice or offering your service to others. Now, the advice card for this year is, I am the dreamer of my dream. So this ties to your destiny, putting it together, looking toward the future. There's something optimistic for you during this year. This is probably an important year for you where you're taking control of your destiny and your future, and you're meeting probably some important people in that process. This is also the advice card, the sun reverse. Now that's interesting. There was another sun who got both cards upright and reverse. So there's going to be a balance that you need to strike throughout the year. Again, between being generous, confident, using your skills of tact, and fighting with the impulse to get angry or frustrated or arrogant or self-entitled. Because that's how you undermine the very thing that you're going after, your dreams. Now let's see what the sun reverse means. So the sun is acknowledged by many cultures as the foremost masculine force. In other traditions, it is seen as the feminine in her full power. Either way, it is the most brilliant light for all beings and allows life to sprout from the dark feminine earth. It can be gentle and warming, close to sunrise or sunset, fall or winter. Or it can be destructive, as in its zenith during a scorching summer. Have you been shining your light for too long? Remember that daylight is only half of the day. The night must have her equal time, and she offers us her gifts as well. Be careful not to be blinded by your light or the light of others. Do not become enamored with yourself or worship others. Beware your shadow. Revel in the midday glory, but do not be afraid of the waning of the light at dusk. Now that's interesting because you had that shadow card. So that seems to be, a big lesson for you this year, is keeping things in the light. You have light and things that are hidden. You have optimistic, generous, tactful, open, a leader, and then you have arrogant, ruthless, domineering, prone to temper tantrums. So for you, the balance, am I in my head or in my heart? Do I feel good about myself or am I operating in my shadow? And that ties to your underlying message, this struggle that you're having. You're struggling with trying to sort out situations. How do I feel about others? How do I feel about myself? There's some inner conflict that consequently may bleed out into your conflict with other people. Because as long as you're fighting with yourself, it's difficult to make decisions, it's difficult to get along with other people. So there's a need to try to figure out how to come together with others in order to solve problems, to not work against yourself. Now, I have to say with this underlying 5, this is going to be a year of external change. A lot of change going on, some drama. You're going to have to be careful of being rash or inconsistencies. So there's a big issue about struggle and, coming to the truth of a situation, sorting out what's real, what's not, who you can trust, and also believing in your dreams. There's a lot of focus on your destiny, your future, being optimistic, having confidence in yourself, and making some real transformative changes, taking the action that's necessary to surrender to circumstances and to release yourself from some chronic negative behaviors. Again, there may be ties to a Taurus, there could be ties to another air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Capricorn, or Scorpio, and perhaps even a Pisces. And with the sun here twice, there's a strong emphasis perhaps on a Leo in your life. All right, Virgo, I hope you have a fantastic year. Happy New Year and good luck in 2020.